Hi everyone, it is currently July 21st, 2014. Actually a holiday out here in Japan where I'm making this video update from. You notice at the beginning of the update, these flowers in space. This was actually launched by Japanese scientists sending this imagery out there and just celebrating the Bon Festival going on this weekend. But even though I do have the day off, still joining you here with the webcast because we are still talking about Typhoon Matmo, and this storm system has already brought some damage out here actually across the Philippines. Reports of flooding there into Visayas, unfortunately, has caused some damage, and this is all during the recovery in the aftermath of Typhoon Ramasoon, or, well, Glenda, as that pushed through here, and the death toll continues to climb. Please do go to the website and check out our latest update on this storm system because we're still continuing to monitor it. The death toll now up to about 94 in the Philippines, 17 in China. It's absolutely just devastating news continuing to come out of here. And furthermore, as I mentioned, we have our newest storm system. Now, this is Typhoon Matmo. At this time, it is, as far as typhoons go, not the prettiest, and that is after several days of this still being a typhoon. It continues to battle vertical wind shear pushing in from the north east here, and that's causing a lot of the cloud cover really just to get blown off towards the southwestern periphery. That combined with the enhancement of the monsoon, though, is just continuing to bring these showers out here, and that's why we have been seeing those reports of flooding across Visayas, despite the storm system really maintaining its strength offshore right now, 130, gusting up to 185 kilometers per hour via the Japan Meteorological Agency, and it expects to stay offshore. Still, we're going to be seeing that rainfall across the Philippines going through the next 48 to 72 hours, all due to that moisture inflow really wrapping around the western periphery of it. And I still think over the next several days we could see some areas out here see about 100 to 200 millimeters of rainfall. Remember, this is falling on already saturated ground, so anytime we get rain like that falling on areas that really can't take any more rainfall, it immediately just runs into the rivers and streams out here, and that's what we're going to be seeing over the next several days, is just that moisture inflow. Just take a look at this, these strong westerly winds flowing across central portions of the Philippines despite the storm system staying off there towards the east, and that really produces that high threat of flooding. So we're really going to be watching this over the next several days. Do I think the storm system is going to make a direct landfall in the Philippines? Highly, highly unlikely. Where it will be making landfall, though, is off here towards the north. Now, it could push just off the eastern seaboards of Taiwan here and possibly directly impact Ishigaki, Jima, there into western portions of the southern Japanese islands. But at least at this time, it does look like the storm is going to make a direct landfall, likely into northern Taiwan. The big problem with this is going to be the rainfall if it does so, because you got to remember, northern Taiwan is, or much of Taiwan for that matter, is all mountainous. So when we talk about that, whenever a storm system really slams into these mountains, it wrings it out like a sponge, and we see just tremendous amount of rainfall accumulation out here, especially along the eastern seaboard. Some areas could see as much as 500 to 600 millimeters of total rain. That definitely could result in flooding, and as we've seen in the past, numerous landslides quite often occur. Meanwhile, still over there towards Ishigaki, we could be seeing some very high winds as well, wrapping around the eastern periphery of the storm system. So a lot of people being impacted by this, very well likely. If you are into Taipei, at least at this time, you could be seeing these typhoon strength winds. Models kind of all over the place. I want to pull this up for you because this is actually quite interesting. They all agree that Taiwan's going to be impacted. The Philippines will not see a direct landfall. But exactly where this is going to be going? Well, it could be Ishigaki or over there towards northern Taiwan. As I see one person put it, it's going to dance along the northern portions of the island. That goes back to the mountains, and that very well could occur because sometimes when we see these storm systems come on shore, they hit the mountains and they kind of deflect off there towards the north. And even our ECMWF model, it sort of shows a slight northerly deflection as it pushes over the mountains there. And sometimes that happens. Sometimes we just see these storm systems hit this, and then it'll wrap right around the northern periphery because, as I mentioned earlier, those mountains are very tall, and they kind of just slam, and they stay right in place of these storms. when they come across Taiwan. So those are going to play a major factor in this. If you are out here, I think the flooding is going to be the biggest problem, at least at this time. So we're definitely going to continue to watch it over the next several days. Here's the latest track from the Joint Typhoon Warning Center. They expected to max out about 105, gusting up to 130 knots just prior to landfall. Meanwhile, as I mentioned before, the Japan Meteorological Agency, a little bit weaker. They're expecting to max out around 80 knots, or 75, gusting up to 105 knots. Farther towards the south. Really what they're expecting here more so is the high pressure ridge, the subtropical ridge we always talk about out here, the Westpac High, maintaining its strength. But from everything I've seen, it's actually been weakening. And if anything, the storm, as I mentioned before, northern Taiwan, or could stay offshore and impact those of you in Ishigaki, Jima. If you're in Okinawa and you're watching this update and you're kind of worried about it, I don't think Okinawa, farther off here towards the east, could be impacted. You might see some breezy conditions coming around the eastern periphery of it, and definitely high waves as we continue to look ahead. I mean, it's not going to be a beach day by any means as we look ahead into Wednesday and Thursday once the storm impacts Ishigaki and northern portions of Taiwan. But I don't think you're going to be seeing anything Nagori type of situation here. So you really shouldn't have to worry about it too much. It's Taipei and northern Taiwan that really is going to be taking the brunt of this storm system, at least based on the forecast at this time here on Monday. I'm making this update Monday morning, Taiwan Standard Time. As we continue to look ahead. So, if you have any questions, comments, or suggestions, please post them down there in the comment box below. We're definitely going to continue to watch this storm system. A little bit later on, I'm probably going to make a separate update as well. Not on typhoons, but maybe what else is going on, just a general overview. And the other thing I do want to mention, we do have another tropical system developing. It is now a tropical depression, according to the Japan Meteorological Agency, and could be our 12th named storm system of the 2014 typhoon season. So, can't get a break out here, guys. All right. Thanks for watching, though. If you have any questions, comments, or suggestions, please post them down there in the comment box below. I'm putting out separate updates on the website as well. There's a lot of information I didn't talk about here. For example, the southerly winds on the eastern periphery of this storm system, upwards about 24 knots at this time. So it's a fairly large wind field, at least around this storm, despite it being rather disorganized. All right, guys, stay safe out there, and thanks for watching. Bye.